G'day viewers, Lance Kulbajahata here, world renowned combination expert and guide, bringing you a new episode in Wombat Thunder. Today we have a player versus player, a blue on blue. Chap from Chaps Games is our opponent today. Check out his YouTube channel. I've set out a link in the description below. And you may be wondering why this is a blue on blue. Well, the war against the Soviets is over. It has been over for years, and they were destroyed after a hard fight deep inside Germany. The cost of the war was high. Many freedoms had to be sacrificed in the service of the government. But now there's civil strife. Two factions have emerged. The senatorials, these senators backed by big money from big corporations, buy their way to power and aim to secure the power and position of the rich and their military-industrial complex. We also have the Patriots. These rebels believe the state should serve the people, protect their freedoms. They will not be slaves to big business and big government. US armies in Europe are split by the same rifts. There's open war between the senatorials and the Patriots. We are led by Lieutenant Colonel Sparta. Our European armies have to fight their way through Germany to ships waiting in Amsterdam. Those ships will take us home. The army of the senatorials is in our way. We must secure this village and valley in Hesse so our follow-on forces can continue the move. Thanks to Chap for playing the other blue faction in this player versus player.
What's your name?
Marcus Glabrus,
Glabrus.
commander of the garrison of Rome.
Commander?
He was commanding it on his belly when we found him. Playing dead.
You keep staring at this. You recognize this baton?
Yes.
You should. It was in your tent. The symbol of the Senate. All the power of Rome.
That's the power roll.
Take that back to your Senate. Tell them you and that broken stick is all that's left of the garrison of Rome. Tell them we want nothing from Rome. Nothing. Except our freedom.
All we want is to get out of this damn country. We're marching south to the sea, and we'll smash every army they send against us. Put them on a horse.
First off, let's do a tour of the battlefield. It's pretty hard to do that from a 2D map, so let's do a little bit of a walking tour. So let me show you the terrain of the map. This is the starting point, the main road into town. And on the left we can see Pig 263 and 248. Part of the valley on the left hand side, and we can see pigs on the right hand side, unnamed, but overlook the town ahead. As we move closer to town, the road turns left and there's a straight cannonball run straight through into the town. Tank or machine gun or firepower would be great to position here. You've got to remember to suppress any enemy forces that come through at the bottom end of that of the road. And down that road we find the first minor VP, the east town, and it's a large multi-storey buildings, but the victory points only count along the perimeter. We can see there's a thick forest on the right, hills dominating from the top of the valley, and we've got some wooded trees and the ridge line on the left as well. As we move into the village proper, we can see the main road runs straight through into the major objective. A covered approach would be to cut through these hedges and unload the infantry, who can then move into the centre town major VP. To the right of the major VP are these multi-storey buildings, and I'm assuming the enemy forces will use this covered route around the stream or the river and the lakes, and move into these buildings before I can finish claiming the town centre. I'll also notice that these buildings, as part of the major VP objective. If you look closely inside those buildings, there's limited doorways, limited access from one building to another. The only way to move ahead is to blow a hole in the side of the buildings and use and create covered movement ways between the buildings without getting too much fire from the enemy. The other point of note in the village here is this laneway covered by these multi-storey buildings, which I believe will be very difficult to take in the first movement, which will mean that any engineers or breach teams I bring won't be able to breach the walls of the last part of the major objective without taking some kind of fire from houses outside the objective or fire straight down the laneway from the right hand side here. So the timing of the breaching of these walls will need to be coordinated with an attack on these large buildings on the major objective. And you can see in the town, dominated by the woods on the ridges on the left, and there's a South Ridge minor VP, and on the right hand side we've got the reverse slope of the ridge as well to contend with. This stream and the trees in it should provide a covered movement line along which infantry might be able to move up quite close to the major objective and then assault under the bridge over the road onto the objective. It'd be great to coordinate that with smoke and artillery and movement from the major objective onto the last two houses. If we're particularly successful, we might be able to claim the West Town major or minor VP and contest that. And we'll use the some M113s moving infantry up to screen the minor VP to the extent that we can. Hopefully we will be successful with our scout teams on the top of the ridge on the right, and we'll move some scout teams on the ridge to the left as well. So that helps us understand something about the terrain and the way we're going to fight this battle. So just to recap, we've got the major ridge lines separated into two valleys, one on the left, one on the right. We'll focus on the four objectives on the right hand side valley. And here I've noted on the map key locations from which both sides could establish crossfires. And some of those crossfires I've noted on the map as red arrows, and it's going to be deadly ridgetop fight. So our plan is to send one mechanised platoon straight up the guts through the village onto the major objective. And then we'll send another mechanised platoon along the river, bottom of the valley, and we'll counter-attack onto the multi-storey buildings on the major objective and try to get local superiority. We'll have the tanks on the left with some scout teams, and we'll cover the right hand side with the scout teams and tow vehicles. So let's talk about our team. We've got the scout platoon coming up on the right, two tow vehicles and two scout squads. And we've got the company HQ with the breach team. They'll go straight into the major objective in the town and breach the walls and get as far as ahead as possible. And here we have a mechanised infantry platoon in M113 A2s. They'll be heading straight for the village and establish a defensive position on the major objective. And we have the M60A3 TTS platoon, 5 tanks in all, plus the company and battalion HQ, making 7. We'll use the platoon to dominate the ridge on the right and try to get fire superiority over the far ridges. And to cap off our small force, we've got the 2nd Mechanised Infantry Platoon, M113s. They're going to rush ahead on the right hand side along the river to get into position to assault the major objective. And with some 105 and 81mm mortars, we've got some off-board artillery to help us along the way. And the boys are off. One mechanised platoon heading straight for the major objective, and the other mechanised platoon on the right hand side sweeping around the back, going to assault the multi-storey buildings to take control of the major objective. And the tank platoon moves ahead to interdict any movements to the ridge tops across the other side of the valley. And the scout team on the left rushes over towards the objective just to monitor blue team movements on the left hand side of the centre ridge. And our tank battalion commander is in position to monitor movements over the centre ridge into the village. Looks like he's got a target. Test firing. What's his target? Trucks. Trucks full of warm bodies. Does he hit them? Yes. You can see them. Hold down. Hit. Test firing again. Hit the second truck. Trucks have gone off-road. Slows down their movement. Hit the target at the back. Hits the target at the front. Lots of red crosses. Juicy targets. Meanwhile, our tow vehicles from the scout platoon take up position to monitor movements on the centre ridge. And the scout teams rush up to the scrubby knoll, take up position to make sure the blue team can't climb it easily. The right hand mech platoon rushes through tree lines to get to the major objective. What do we hear? Enemy choppers overhead. And our tank company commander has one job: suppress all blue force down the main road at all costs. Our mechanised infantry platoon on the left moves through the village, aiming for the major objective, but it too hears choppers overhead. Scout squads unload onto the scrubby knoll. Blue force is advancing on the scrubby knoll under observation from the tank platoon. Our M113s trash the neighbours' garden beds, push through the hedges and unload on the major objective. One command squad seizes the minor objective, and the breach team rushes to aid their friends in the mechanised platoon. forward slope of the scrubby knoll comes under observation from the tank platoon on the centre ridge. Scratch 1, flat top. Oops, I mean M113. The scout team on the left pushes through woods to keep eyes on our left flank. Our movements haven't been impeded, both platoons rushing towards the major objective. A tow missile hits the trees in front of our own tow vehicles. And we see Blue Force has dismounted tow launchers. We finally dismount our mechanised infantry to claim the major objective. Our M113 on the minor objective gets bold and tries to cover their advance across the road. Our scout teams on the scrubby knoll come under mortar fire from the centre ridge. Ouch, no more HQ team. The squad takes cover in the reverse slope. We pull back our tow vehicle, but it's too late. Missile to the face. Those choppers making me nervous on the right flank for our mechanised infantry platoon. I unload our infantry, but the M113's copper blasting and get a rocket in the guts. Our mechanised infantry advance into their major objective, spread out to cover avenues of approach. And we're too slow. Blue Forces already man the multi-storey buildings. We're going to have to fight after all. Our breach team mouse holes their way forward. Enemy Cobras strafe our M60 looking straight down the road, but to no effect. Our scout team on the left already spots enemy infantry advancing. We're going to have to watch our left flank. On the right, our dismounted mechanised infantry platoon is going to have to leg it to make their assault on the major objective. That fight for the major objective hots up and we struggle to get far superiority. Our breach team continues to mousehole their way forward. Blue Force Cobras continue to strafe our mechanised infantry platoon, and one of our M113 panics, reverses into open fields. Small teams of dragon gunners advancing on the heights around the village below. We spot a Blue Force Saito. Shoot someone, shoot! Our crack M60 on the hill sees the spot but gets a missile to the face. We continue to spot dragon gunners advancing all around us. The Blue Force M60 throws smoke into the main road to cover itself and infantry entering the buildings behind. Our scout team on the scrubby knoll moves forward to buddy aid the destroyed HQ squad.
Roger, fire mission request. Out.
But the scout team immediately comes under Blue Force fire, advancing through the scrub. Casualties are given and taken. The M113s protecting our flanks take some fire and dish some out with panic and retreat. Blue Force infantry are advancing on the town through the woods to take up positions with their dragons. And M113 retreats to better cover the road.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out. Flash. Over.
But it gets a dragon in its face for its trouble. The scout team on the scrubby knoll continues to defend its position.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out. Flash. Over. Flash. Out.
The scout team 10-1-13 retreats to cover their flank. It's great to see our M60 on the main road doing its one job. We send more men into the row house opposite the multi-story buildings on the main objective to keep their heads down.
Over.
Small Blue Force teams continue to infiltrate our flanks.
Enemy armor approaching.
Shot. Over.
Quick reactions from our M60, nail one of the Blue Force M60s.
Way to go. Good shot.
Shot. Over.
Our tank sees straight through the smoke and nails the M60 in the face.
Flash. Over. Out.
We sense the opportunity to advance our M60s onto the ridge line overlooking the valley and the town below.
Shot. Over.
Our 105mm artillery helps keep Blue Force heads down while we try for firepower superiority.
End of mission. Out.
A firefight erupts between Red Force in the row houses and the Blue Force in the multi-story buildings opposite.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out.
More Blue Force Dragon teams try to infiltrate our flanks.
Shot. Over.
The scout team on the scrubby knoll come under intense fire.
Shot. Over.
Get down. Take cover.
Shot. Out.
Take cover. Take cover.
But the scout team on the scrubby knoll are out of ammo, out of luck, and out of time. The M60 platoon on the hill finally finds some targets.
Target hit. On fire.
Shot. Over.
Contact.
Shot. Out. Shot. Over. Shot. Out.
But we get smashed in the face after turning to face some closer enemy.
Shot. Out.
A near miss doesn't stop the enemy from destroying us. Closer inspection reveals a double tap, a hit from the M60 and a dragon in our face. We see a contact to our left amongst the hedges in the valley to our left. Blue Force Dragon teams keep coming.
Roger.
Our M113s start to become coffins for their crews.
Shot. Over. Shot out.
Don't park M113s below balconies because they can't see a damn thing.
Shot. Over.
We gradually lose the firefight with Blue Force in the multi-story buildings.
Flash. Over.
Advance elements of our second mechanised platoon appear at the jumping off points.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out.
Once more of the platoon have arrived, they'll coordinate their assault with artillery on their multi-story buildings on the major objective. One squad of the mechanised platoon performs flank guard to keep the Blue Force heads down.
Watch out. Enemy unit.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out.
The tank platoon tries to push along the centre ridge line and pays for it.
Flash. Over. Flash. Over. Flash. Out. Fire for effect. Over.
Second platoon continues to take flanking fire, but it's too late to call off the attack now.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out.
They push our forward elements to cross the road any way they can.
Shot. Out. Flash. Over.
We take mortar fire from the ridge to our right.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out.
Our tanks are targeted by gunfire as well as tow missiles. Where's our goddamn smoke when we need it? Our shots hit trees while the enemy hits us. We spot the enemy tow launchers, but our shots go over their heads.
Flash. Over. Flash. Out. Flash. Over.
We save our skins to fight in a different minute. The scout team finally reaches the peak on the centre ridge.
Enemy armor sighted.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out.
Scratch one tow vehicle. Scout team chooses discretion and racks the hell off out of there. The scout team's new positions will be the copse of trees ahead. Our M60 covering the main road forgets to do its one job while it tries to move to a different position. It's a terrible loss. Now the main road is open. Our bridge team comes under fire from 3 blokes on the balcony. It's going to be hard to breach that wall without a bridge team. Other parts of our perimeter come under fire as well. Force try to infiltrate buildings on our perimeter, and they pay for it with their lives. Our bridge team is finally cut down, a significant loss to Red Force. Meanwhile, our second platoon continues their assaults on the high-rise buildings.
Over. Flash out.
One of our squads consolidates to provide better flank protection. We steadily move forward under withering enemy fire.
Fire perfect. Over.
One of our squads consolidates to prepare for an assault into the buildings ahead. One mad, brave Blue Force trooper rushes the row houses.
Fire perfect. Over.
The M113s from 2nd Platoon have lagged far behind. We bring them up to provide flanking covering fire with their 50 cals.
Flash out. Fire perfect. Over.
Our flank guard hears vehicles ahead and readies a dragon. God damn it, that's the worst result I've ever seen. An abandoned M113 becomes a target for the choppers now circling overhead. An M113 leaps for cover. Laugh in the face of such rocket attacks as we're only immobilized. Other M113s take up the fight, but they choose discretion over valor. We risk a dash across the courtyard to the multi-story buildings ahead. Our forces have been gradually reduced, but we must press on. Our men are even attacked from above as the Cobras perform point attacks against our strong points. Cobras and Dragon teams pick off our M113s.
Shot.
The remaining tanks on the centre ridge try to give covering fire before they too are destroyed. And again our vehicles are double tapped from multiple shooters.
Flash. Over.
At least their own fire takes out an enemy tow vehicle.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out.
A panicked M113
Shot
reverses across an open field into danger. His running mate also takes a dragon to the face. The bigger picture shows the danger we're in. Surrounded on three sides, choppers overhead. We must hold on to everything we've got.
Flash. Over. Flash. Out.
And M113 covering the scrubby knolls spies an isolated tank on the centre ridge.
Flash. Out.
We must use that to our advantage. Damn it, he's spotted us. Our last tank on the centre ridge tries to push ahead to the copse of trees.
Flash. Out.
He pauses, fires. What's the target?
Flash. Out.
No Blue Force truck can survive our wrath. The tank crew pays for that small victory with their lives. The team has advanced along the centre ridge,
Shot. Over.
but they get hammered from all sides. Our own Forrest Gump rushes into the multi-story buildings. Run, Forrest, run!
Out.
The bigger picture shows how surrounded we are, choppers overhead. The one plucky M113 becomes a punching bag for all the fire on heaven and earth.
Shot. Over. Shot. Out.
What remains of second platoon keeps pressing forward. We're hit by Cobras above and AA guns to our flanks. last remaining tow vehicle tries to pick off the isolated M60 on the centre ridge, but is just too slow. In the dying minutes, the Blue Force M113 reaches out for the minor objective,
Shot.
the complete
Over.
mine encirclement.
Shot. Out.
And here's the result, US major victory. Well done, chap. That's the first thing I've got to say. Well played, well planned, well managed. And you'll find Chap's videos in the description, a link in the description below. And the second thing I've got to say is that result stinks worse than a dead kangaroo left in the hot sun. Next thing that comes to mind is just how small my forces were compared to Chap's. At end, I had 35 guys left. Chap had 232. I'd taken 116 casualties and Chap had taken 129. And at start, Chap had 361 personnel. I had 151, so I was outnumbered 2 to 1. And Chap had 2 Cobras, 5 M60s, and the 1 AA vehicle. And I had the 7 M60s. So I was pretty surprised going through the quick battle force selection. I kind of assumed that anyone choosing basically the same forces would come up with very similar numbers and very similar combat power, but it looks to me like my selection was so poor that I did myself a disservice. And Chap had a bit of a craft around his force selection. The choppers were great for him. He had a battalion of Berlin infantry and a standard battalion of infantry, armoured cav squadron, and with mortars and so on, and of course the choppers. Left to me with the only thing I could do with a small force was to choose an objective and to bunker down in that. One area which was different was I had the M113s and the 7 M60s. Could have used them, well, could have not chosen them and got more infantry. Could have used them a lot differently than what I did. And dropping the infantry out of the 2nd platoon M113s and let them struggle forward on foot was, I think, a big mistake. I should have been able to get into the village above the heights of the high-rise buildings far faster than what I did. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and let me know how I could have got a different result.